Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.
Everybody, welcome into Going Public. I am Harry McCullough. This week, we're joined by Nicholas Mathern, the general manager of the South Lafourche Levee District. So first, Nick, thanks for being with us, man.
Thanks for having me, Harry. Good to be here.
Sure, I'm looking at the clock, man. It's almost here, right?
It is. Every year.
It seems like we get 2 week break, right? We're not in hurricane season.
And we're busy during those 2 weeks.
But yeah, so June 1st is hurricane season. So we're always getting ready for that. But I think the first thing we want to talk about is the South Louisiana lawsuit against FEMA about risk rating 2.0. And you've got a little bit of an update?
Sure. So last summer, beginning of hurricane season, on June 1st, very symbolically, the state of Louisiana, along with, I believe it was 10 other states, multiple parishes, multiple levee districts, and the Association of Levee Boards of Louisiana, we jointly filed suit against FEMA to have them figure out some better system than what they've been trying to implement in risk rating 2.0. And I think a lot of people have been seeing recently that if you get your flood insurance renewal statement in the mail, you'll see a slightly higher rate than what you've seen in previous years. But the real number to look for there is it'll either be labeled as your full risk rate, or I know mine was listed as a discount, right? So you add that discount
that's where
rate
it's going
to whatever your premium for your renewal is, and that's what you'd be paying eventually.
Right,
FEMA's
18% every year for the next whatever
they're capped at a 18% increase rather every year until you reach that full risk rate. But the problem is not so much with the cost. I mean, obviously the cost is a problem, but the way they got those premium rates
who knows?
Is what we have issue with, because people say, well, what's wrong with it? Exactly. They won't tell us. We have no idea what's wrong with it. The few things that we have seen to us make no sense. One of the biggest things is proximity to water. They're calculating more about how close your structure is to water, which, hey, if you live out in the desert, sure, you've got rivers that cut through canyons, and so they're at the bottom of canyons. If you have your house closest to the water, yeah, you're at the most vulnerable spot. What they don't seem to understand is here we live on a deltaic plain. We were created by the river flooding, depositing. So your highest land, your land that's least likely to flood, is right next to the bayou, right next to. So it makes no sense for Louisiana specifically. And that's just one of the parameters that we know about. I mean, there are countless others, obviously, that go into a very complicated system like this that we won't even know, because they won't show us, my kids go to school, and if they take a test, the teacher says, a math test, show me your work, show me how you got that answer. This is the federal government, and they can't show us our work. Our kids do it every day. Why can't they?
Well, so the update is that FEMA, you guys had sued FEMA, and FEMA tried to dismiss the case, but that's the update, right?
Right. So we filed suit, and just a couple of days later, we also filed a preliminary injunction against FEMA that would have had the judge order FEMA to not use risk rating 2.0 during the trial. And so almost immediately after that, FEMA themselves filed a motion to dismiss the case altogether, because they tried to claim that we, as the plaintiffs, none of us had legal standing to be able to actually file suit, because they were saying that we didn't have the direct damages. The residents that we represent did. But that was not true at all. And so we were able to go to federal court mid-September and show that to Judge Darrell Papillion in the Eastern District United States Federal Court, and Papillon, right? Yeah. So, but I think he goes by Papillion. Sure. Yeah. And so we stated our case. FEMA had their attorneys state theirs, but ultimately we finally got the decision handed down a couple weeks ago that our preliminary injunction was not granted, unfortunately. So risk rating 2.0 will continue to be used until the trial plays out.
You'll see a little 18% adjustments.
Correct. But the good news is that FEMA's motion to dismiss was not granted.
Right.
So the judge recognized
on the trial.
Right. We did have legal standing.
And then
so
they
we're
haven't
gonna
given an
proceed.
update on when the trial might start?
We don't. Our new Attorney General, Liz Morrell, was the Solicitor General last when we actually filed the lawsuit. So she's continuing in that role, leading that charge for all of us plaintiffs that have signed on together.
She might be governor by the time that we go to trial on this.
I'd hate to say you may be right, but man, we'll see. As slow as this process has been.
Right. Because obviously our governor was the one who brought the lawsuit the first time.
Right.
Okay. Well, so let's talk about what's happening in South Lafourche.
Sure. Well, I mean, to get ready, like you said, we never take a break. You know, as soon as hurricane season's over, and really during hurricane season too, we're continuing to do some really great work down in South Lafourche.
And drought happened, right? But we got a lot of work done.
We got a lot of work done during that drought. It was fantastic. And one of our biggest projects that's going on, we're moving 500,000 yards of dirt to one of our most vulnerable sections of Levee that had a little bit of overtopping during Ida. During the drought, we had truck after truck every day, and we were making a lot of great movement. But between January 1st and Easter, I think we had maybe 8 working days because it's just such a problematic area, trying to keep the borrow pit pumped out. And we just had problem after problem with the rain that came in. But in the meantime, we've been doing a lot of great work, getting ready for hurricane season. One of the first things that we do, that we actually have a video of our guys showing our staff doing our what we call our barrier closure exercises. So we've got not only our levees, but where the roads cross over the levee, there are a couple spots where we could not get the roads high enough to safely handle traffic and meet our required elevations. So in the springtime, we get our guys out to do an exercise, right? Closing our 3 barriers. This one that you'll see here is our guys closing the road barrier on Highway 3235, the 4-lane highway.
Yeah.
This is just south of the Burglar Rose Highway, just south of the Intracoastal. And so we make sure that we deploy the entire system, put it up, tear it down. It retrains our guys every year, and it gives us the opportunity to see if there are any issues, anything that could cause leaks.
Stuck nuts and bolts or whatever.
So that we have time well before hurricane season to get any of that fixed.
Now, does this keep cars out or water out?
This keeps, well, both really here,
yeah, but
cars and water mainly. The cars can still, once we close that barrier on 3235, vehicles can still get out of the system through the Burglar Rose Highway on the southbound lanes that we divert traffic there, because that road was.
But this acts as a levee.
But it acts as a levee, correct. So we also have a swing gate that we close across Delta Farm Road near the Intracoastal. And then the last gate that you see here, our guys exercising, is the gate across Highway 1 in Golden Meadow at the Leontario locks.
How many times you've had to deploy this for real?
Anytime that we issue an evacuation, it looks like a storm's going to be coming.
You do it every time.
We shut down every time, right?
I got you. No, interesting, and it all works. And you've tried this several times, but the water's never gotten up to it, has it?
No, it definitely has. But just for Ida, I mean, the top of that wall,
yeah, on the south side, right
the top of that wall that the last gate that you saw goes up to the same elevation as the lock right next to it. And so when water got up to 16 feet for Hurricane Ida,
it was right there.
That wall was doing its job and kept water out. So
all right.
So that's our exercise that we do every year to make sure that we're ready. But we also have some photos and video of other projects that we're doing, starting in the northern part of our system at section C North. We're just about complete with this project. We've been lifting about 3 1/3 miles of levee up to elevation plus 13. Now, a story I've been telling a lot lately to the Corps of Engineers has been, we're only authorized here to 8.5 feet.
Right.
But we're up to 13 feet. Now, when Morganza comes along, the Morganza to the Gulf system, this section that you see in the photo here is actually part of the Morganza to the Gulf system that connects Reach L, that the Terrebonne Levee District's working on, ultimately to the North Lafourche levee system. And so the northern part of our system acts as that connection between those two levee systems. But that levee is working, that levee lift is going great, looking great.
What will it have to be when it becomes part of Morganza?
That'll be up to 16 feet.
I got you.
So the
you're
Corps is going
still
to have to come over us and with another 3 feet.
Right.
And so moving southward on C South, this is just below where Reach L of Morganza to the Gulf connects to our system. We've lifted that recently to 16 feet. But what we noticed after Hurricane Ida was that we had a lot of debris on the toe of the levee that when our contractor pulled that debris up, it had to be removed. But those operations damaged part of the toe of our levee. And so what you'll see some photos and video here is our contractor that we were able to get some additional funds from FEMA that we have a contractor that's going in and repairing the flood side toe of the levee. And so we're taking material from our borrow canal. This is it, right?
Okay.
This is the finished product you can see here.
Where's the toe?
On the left side. So
I got you.
We're looking northeast in this photo here.
I got you.
From a drone. So the Terrebonne is to the left of the image here, and you see that little kind of canal that runs along the levee on the left side.
That's what was damaged.
And that's where some of the damage happened. So between that and the toe of our levee, we've been putting an additional 2 feet of dirt to kind of shore up the base of that levee and give it some stability and protection ahead of this coming hurricane season. And again, that's going to be completely paid for by FEMA as a damage repair from hurricane.
So we like FEMA sometimes.
Every now and then, right? Well, give us the money. It takes forever, and you got to jump through all kind of hoops. But eventually, even if we have to call up our congressional delegates to get the right thing
Tattle
done,
on 'em, yeah.
we've been very fortunate since Ida that the right thing has been done.
All right. So what happens the rest of this year before hurricane season? And we got about 30 seconds.
Right. We continue to work on our ongoing projects. We're analyzing all of our pump operations. We do have one pump that's been pulled in behind Basson's boat launch in Galliano cutoff area. That's currently being refurbished, and it'll be hopefully back in time, plenty of time before hurricane season starts.
Yeah. So like I said, got a lot of work done. Seems like the money's been kind of flowing. So a lot of things, a lot of good things happening. So we'll take a break. We'll be right back with more with Nicholas Mathern right here on Going Public.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Going Public. I am Harry McCullough. We're speaking with Nicholas Mathern, the general manager of the South Lafourche Levee District. We were just talking a little bit, and I got a lot of stuff going on, and you said by this time soon or this summer, you'll have close to $70 million at work on the Levee District?
Right. Between the projects that we have ongoing right now that will be continuing and wrapping up after the fiscal year starts, the state fiscal year starts July 1st, as long as everything that's going through the legislature right now, through the CPRA master plan, the annual plan, and through supplemental appropriations, capital outlay, we're looking at having about a little over $70 million of construction work going on for South Lafourche Levee District.
And not all yours, right? We're finally getting some help around here to help out.
About $14 million of that would be South Lafourche Levee District funds directly paying for those projects. But for the most part, it's been either state surplus dollars or offshore lease sales through the Gulf of Mexico Energy Security Act that will get revenue sharing through the state for restoration and protection work. So a lot of great work been going on.
And FEMA, as we mentioned. Yeah.
A little bit of FEMA too. Right? We'll give them their credit when they deserve it, I guess.
So the offshore leases, obviously that had slowed down a little bit, but we might get other leases when it comes to green energy and those kind of things too.
Right, and there's a few bills going through the House and Senate right now in Baton Rouge that would, help us facilitate that revenue sharing. A couple of bills on the national level too, the Breeze and the RISE Acts that would help as those technologies get better online and start producing some revenue, that we would get a good share to be able to go through the state and give us more funding for restoration and protection projects.
I got you. Yeah, and as long as the loop's there, you can hold it hostage, you know. Right. Just joking. Okay, so show where that money's going. You got some more photos.
Sure. So some of the state funding that we've been receiving, the next project is in the cutoff area, section E north of our levee system, right around the Cloverleaf Farms area, between Cloverleaf Farms and Little Lake to the east. We've been stockpiling about 500,000 cubic yards of material taken from a borrow site just off of the levee alignment there. And that project is about $4 million. And we expect to have that complete by about November of this year. But that's all coming from CPRA. Part of that's from revenue sharing, part of it's from state surplus. And you see a video next of that project. This is the borrow pit that we've been taking just off site. Now, this is the kind of work that we've been trying to do over the decades in the levee district. Get the material as close from an area as close to the levee work as we want to do, because dirt is not that expensive. The expense comes in when you're trying to transport it. Correct. So the closer we can get it, like in this kind of a situation where the trucks don't even need to get on the highway, so they can use special off-road trucks where they can, that would be able to transport more material for a cheaper amount of funding, a cost to us.
Right.
And so in a similar fashion, just north of there, we've got some stockpiling that we're doing along the section F berm. That we're taking from a little further out, just north of the Intracoastal, and then trucking it in to lift about 4.5 miles of our protected side berm. That's the area just behind the levee that gives some stability to the bottom of that levee. Right. So we've been doing some good work there. We've got a little video also showing some activities there, hauling material in, and then the contractor has a bulldozer and excavator on site that's then shaping that. We're bringing that berm up from about 5 feet below sea level up to sea level. And so that's being paid for also by CPRA, the State Coastal Protection Restoration Authority, getting about $1.6 million from state surplus and another 1.7 from revenue sharing through the Gulf of Mexico Energy Security Act. And we hope to have this complete before hurricane season.
How long is it?
That's about 4.5 miles.
Yeah, it seems like a lot.
Work that we've been doing. It's really impressive. Yeah. Just passed by there this morning, and that contract is doing some great work.
Yeah, awesome.
Getting that site ready. So
yeah.
Next, we've also done some maintenance to our Lee Ontario lock down in Golden Meadow. And we got some photos here too that show where we pulled the north gates. So this was the addition that we created back in 2007 to 2009. The original floodgate just south of here was created back in the 80s. And then this is our secondary gate on the inside that converted the floodgate into a lock complex. It was time to do our 10-year maintenance run, so we got a contractor to pull these gates. We had them taken off site. A few more photos here too, blasting and painting, and then you can see totally pulling these two gates. Then they were taken off site, blasted and repainted, recoated. We replaced the cathodic protection, which allows the metal to not rust over time. So infrastructure lasts longer. They inspected all the most critical welds. They replaced some gaskets and fittings. So it's humongous. You don't really get the scale of what's happening until it's totally pulled, because all you normally see is just a couple feet that are above the water. But yeah, it's massive. So those gates are now back in place and operational. So well in advance of hurricane season. So we're excited about the success of that project. And that was something again that we needed to do at our 10-year life of that project. So every 10 years we'll be repeating that process to make sure that everything's in working order. So now just to the east of our lock, we have our section A east of our levee. That runs about 4.5 miles from the lock all the way up to pump station number 4 in Golden Meadow.
The lock would be at the bottom of that?
The lock's at the bottom, correct, between the blue and the green lines there. And so we got some funding from the state again, about $7 million that we're going to be lifting this section of levee, which is between 16 and 17 feet. We're going to be going up to 19 and a half feet. Wow. And so that'll give us not only a lot of protection now, but again, as that settles, a much stronger levee moving forward. So we're currently kind of in a holding pattern with that project. We're waiting on some geotech reviews to come back about the strength of the soil. And once we get that report back, CPRA signs off on it, we'll be ready to roll. And so that'll be, again, about a $7 million project. That would probably take about a year to be totally done.
To go up to 19?
To go up to 19 and a half feet, right.
We're going to be like the Great Wall of China here, you know. Generations from now, I'll be going, hey, these guys really built walls, right?
And you know, that's kind of one conversation I've been having too with a lot of people that, you know, we saw the success in Hurricane Ida. So now what do we do? Well, the answer is we keep going. You know, there's no reason to stop now. Hurricane Ida was a real test for our system. But if we'd have had Hurricane Katrina pass on Hurricane Ida's track, it would have been a very different story.
Oh, yeah.
And so as long as we have the will and the funding and the state wants to continue being a successful partner the way they've done, we're going to keep lifting, because not only are we're seeing the possibility of higher storm surge in the future, but as we all know, anybody who's lived in South Louisiana as long as we have, the ground is subsiding. It is. And so we are combating that by continuing to lift our levee as we get the funding and the time to do it. So on the west side of that too, we recently got some good news from CPRA that they're going to give us an additional $4 million for lifting A West. So this is from the lock.
That was that blue side.
That was the blue side, correct. So this is from the lock going north behind the town of Golden Meadow up to right about where the new elevated highway is starting, the ramp that starts that construction. That's where that project's going to go up to. So the blue here that you see is all the way up to the entire system. It won't be quite that far. It'll be about where it looks like that the blue line intersects with the yellow line, which is the 4-lane highway in Golden Meadow. And so all that's going to be going up also to 19 and a half feet.
I got you.
And then much more recently, some better news that I've gotten from CPRA is that they put in a request for about $20 million through the capital outlay process that's going on right now. They literally just had another hearing about it in the House Appropriations Committee this morning. I was watching, tracking that bill as it goes through to make sure that we get the projects that are important to us. So that $20 million kind of cut down to a more realistic number that we can actually spend this year of $8 million. And that's going to go to section B North and B South of our levee. So this is from behind Bason's boat launch in Cutoff behind the Sabo Alligator Farm, all the way south to Oak Ridge Park in Golden Meadow. We've got good elevation here. We're about a 16, 17 foot elevation here. The elevation is not so much what I'm worried about most imminently. It's the width of that levee section. Riding this section of levee, the crown is not quite 10 feet in some places. The slopes, we try to have them no steeper than a 3-on-1 slope. Preferably a 4-on-1, and now the Corps is trying to force us to go to 5-on-1. You know, just always asking for more and more, which we would love to do. Sure, it's just about having the funding to do it. I would love 5-on-1 slopes. I mean, that would be beautiful. We'd be a lot more comfortable. But we do what we can afford, and obviously, what we have done over the years has worked. And so that's been our story to the Corps. Look, you don't want to call what we have a levee. You want to say that we wouldn't survive a 10-year storm. You know. My predecessor, Wendell Curell, one of his most famous or infamous Wendellisms, nothing reflects reality like reality, right? So we can study it to death all we want, but we've proven that what we do works. And so we've been working with the Corps of Engineers in the past couple of years, trying to get back into what's called their rehabilitation and inspection program. I'm working now with our congressional delegates to try to get some language in the upcoming Water Resources Development Act bill that would allow us to get back into that program and then give us a starting point to work with the Corps of Engineers on improving our levees the way that they like to see them done. And it would open up some cost share opportunities for us too. Because, you know, we've never had a problem with the Corps' design guidance as they are. They're great design guidelines. We would love to be able to meet them. Sure. We can't always afford to do it. Right. And so we've done what we can afford. We're going to continue to do what we can afford because we know the soil that we're working with, we know what we can do, what works, and we're going to continue to do what we can to protect the people of South Lafourche.
Nothing's like reality. Right?
Reality.
Yeah, we got to get it done. Well, Nicholas, we appreciate the updates, man. Thanks so much.
Sure, happy to be here. Thank you.
All right. That's Going Public. I'm Harry McCullough. We'll see you next time.